My name is Alex Harper, and all I ever wanted to do was learn. Not just go to classes or get a degree. I wanted to immerse myself in books, argue with professors, write until 3 in the morning, live on campus, breathe the freedom I didn't have at home. It was more than a dream, it was a salvation. I grew up in Red Bank, New Jersey. It's a small, quiet town where everyone knows everyone and news travels faster than a virus. We had a typical brick house, a lawn that my dad mowed every Saturday, and neighbors who truly believed that Melissa was a future star. My sister, 2 years older, bright, charismatic, always in sight. If I was a shadow, she was a spotlight. When I received the letter from NYUA Real, printed letter with a coat of arms, I kept it in a locked drawer. I didn't want to show it to my parents right away. I wanted to wait. I wanted to make the moment special. My mother was in the garden, and my father was fixing something in the garage. I walked in with the letter in my hands, my heart beating in my throat. I was accepted, I said. NYU, the English literature program. My father didn't even look up. Is it the one in New York? The expensive one? Yes, it is. But I applied for financial aid. Maybe they'll give it to me. My mother was silent, her lips pressed into a thin line. We'll talk about this later, she said. Now is not the time. Later came 2 days later. I was sitting at the kitchen table. They were across the room. We can't afford it, Alex, Dad said. It's tens of thousands. We already have a mortgage, insurance, and Melissa is not yet on her feet. But I can get a loan, I tried. And I can cover part of it with a scholarship. I just need a little help. My mother bowed her head. We love you, but we can't. We just can't. Everything inside me clenched. They didn't even consider the option. They didn't even try. They just said, we can't. The next morning I took a bus to Trenton Community College and enrolled in an online program. No dormitory. No literary evenings. Just a laptop, coffee, and a job at a gas station with a night shift. Melissa was already in business at the time. She dropped out of university and sold her own teas on Instagram. Her parents bought her packages from Amazon, paid for a photographer, and helped with marketing. I could see it, but I convinced myself that they were just supporting her after her failure. A year later, she opened Brew and Bloom, a cafe in the city center. And my father stood at the opening with scissors, cutting the red ribbon, smiling at the camera. They invited everyone, but not me. I saw the photo on Facebook, and something in me broke. Translated with Dpel.com, free version. I didn't immediately believe it was true. At first, I thought maybe it was a sponsor or Melissa paid for everything herself from her profits. But the photos didn't lie. Neither did the comments. We are proud, daughter. Your parents are real angels. What style, what grace. You can see that it was done with love. Love? I was sitting in a substitute dormitory, a small room above Mr. Danny's garage, where I helped clean tools for a discount on rent. A washing machine clattered underfoot. An electric kettle and a packet of noodles sat in the corner. I sat there staring at the photo and thinking only one thing. I am invisible. It was not just anger. It was something deeper. I thought for a long time why I couldn't even get really angry. Perhaps because since childhood I was used to swallowing my emotions. Don't growl. Don't whine. Be a man. I tried to justify myself. Maybe they thought I could handle it. That I was stronger. That Melissa was weaker. That she needed more. But then there was the night I woke up on the floor of the gas station again. Collapsed. From dehydration, fatigue, or just from everything. When the ambulance came, I heard a guy in a uniform say, "Is he 20 years old? How long has he been working without sleep?" I laughed. Loudly. It hurt. I spent the night in the hospital. More for protocol than for treatment. In the discharge summary they wrote, chronic exhaustion, signs of anxiety disorder. Psychological support is recommended. Psychological support. I wish I could get some normal sleep. After that I decided, enough. I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to find a way. A real way. I applied for a scholarship for talented freelance students thanks to a few posts I sold to local online magazines for $50. I found a night shift at the library as a janitor. During the day I wrote. Night I read. Sometimes I would faint again, but I kept going. And I decided, I will disappear. Just disappear from their sight. I blocked my parents on social media. I turned off my old email. I changed my phone number. I moved to Chicago where I entered the university and was accepted into the writing program. Again with credit, again on the brink. But I was free. The first time I walked into the classroom where Professor Devlin, a literary anthropologist with a voice like smoke, was teaching, I felt, this is it. This is where I was always meant to be. People started reading me. My essays were accepted on websites, my stories circulated in small circles. I became the editor of a student magazine. For the first time in my life, I felt that my voice meant something. And it was then that I received a letter. Not an email. It was handwritten. A real one. Son, we are sad. Maybe you can give us a chance to explain. We didn't know we were going to lose you. We thought you would forgive us. Come back. Even just to talk. We made a mistake. Maybe more than one. But we always loved you. Mom. I read the letter 5 times. I didn't answer it. Translated with deepl.com. Free version. I was not going to return. I wasn't going to forgive. And I was definitely not going to pretend that nothing had happened. But life doesn't always ask you what you want. It was late in the fall. I was just returning from another presentation at the university, where my short story was performed on stage for the first time. I was walking in the rain, without an umbrella, with a copy of the script in my pocket, still drunk with emotion. And then I turned the corner to my house in Chicago, and there was a car parked by the stairs. Not in the way people usually park. Right on the side of the road. And there he was, my father. The same man who once did not even look up when I told him that I was accepted to NYU. I froze. He came out, slowly, with the same hunched posture. But something was different about him. Tired. Crumpled. Alex, he said. How do you know where I live? Your mother, she was looking for you through a colleague. At your university. I took a step back. That's illegal. I know that. But, please just 5 minutes. We sat down in a corner coffee shop that I usually avoided. Now it seemed to be the only shelter from the storm that was raging inside me. My father was silent for a long time. He was drinking coffee. No sugar, always like that. We thought we were doing the right thing, he finally said. Melissa was broken then. She said she didn't want to live. Your mother was afraid. She said, we've already lost her once. We won't lose her again. She didn't think you'd disappear. You lost me to save her? We didn't plan to invest in the business. It happened gradually. First we helped. And then, there was hope. And we grabbed it. I looked at him. Only now I saw that he had grown old. His hair was grayer, his cheeks sagged, and his hands trembled. We never wanted you to disappear, he whispered. You were strong. We thought you would pull through. And now not a day goes by when I don't regret it. He pulled an envelope from his pocket. He put it on the table. This is not compensation. It's not a bribe. It's just all we can give now. I didn't take the envelope. Is that a check? Yes, it is. For your tuition. The one we didn't pay for back then. If you can use it, use it. If you can't, throw it away. But we want you to know we're sorry. He stood up. If you ever want to come back, the door is open. But we're not pushing anymore. And he left. I sat there for another 10 minutes. Then I took the envelope and slowly opened it. The amount was impressive. It was not a correction, but it was a confession. Translated with deepl.com. Free version. I held the check in my hands for 3 days. I didn't touch it, put it in my wallet, or tear it up. I just looked at it, as if it were a piece of something that could no longer be glued together. It wasn't the money that scared me. It didn't have much value after everything I had been through. It was the fact that my father had admitted it that scared me. My mother had apologized. And now I had no clear line. There was no black and white. There was only a gray area, like in the stories I loved the most about difficult choices and the eternal internal struggle. I went back to my laptop and opened the folder, First novel. Rough draft. I had been writing it since the beginning of college. It was the story of a guy who was abandoned. By his parents. By his sister. By the woman he loved. And this guy didn't take revenge. He did not solve everything with a bullet or his fists. He wrote. He gave himself away in every sentence. Like blood through ink. I didn't call it a self-portrait. But I knew the truth. After I met my father, the novel began to change. I rewrote parts of it. I threw out scenes with outright hatred. I introduced doubts. The hero became a little more mature, a little less correct, and a little more alive. He began to make mistakes. He began to forgive. In between chapters, I remembered my childhood. Not everything was bad. There were Sunday dinners when we laughed until we cried. There was Christmas when my father made me a bookshelf in the shape of a ship. There were conversations about life, short, awkward, but real. Maybe they weren't great parents. But maybe I wasn't a great son either. In December, I received an invitation to participate in a youth literature festival in Austin. They wanted me to read an excerpt from my work in public. Editors, agents, and writers were supposed to be in the audience. It was a chance. I hesitated. Not because of the stage. Because of the excerpt. Because the passage was personal. It was the moment when the hero meets his father after years of silence. And he is crying. He doesn't speak. He just sits there, holding his son's old book in his hand, with sentences underlined. I was standing backstage with a folder in my hands. My palms were shaking. Then I heard it. Alex Harper. Chicago. A name without a home. I stepped out. The microphone. The lights. The stage. This is an excerpt from my unpublished novel. I said. It's not about betrayal. It's about survival. It's about memory. And about complicated, messy love which doesn't always look like the movies. I read it. My voice trembled at first. Then it got stronger. At the end, there was complete silence. And then applause. Not loud, but real. After the festival, an elderly woman came up to me. She was holding an old notebook. Did you forgive him? I hesitated for a moment. I don't know. I forgave him in the book. But I haven't decided whether I've forgiven him in real life. She smiled. Sometimes it's the same thing. I couldn't sit down to write that letter for a long time. It was as if a whole year of silence stood between me and the paper, heavier than all the bitter words combined. I opened the notebook, held the pen, and nothing. No words came. Only anger came, emptiness, sadness. And then one morning, a cold, crisp Sunday morning with my coffee without milk and the light falling obliquely on my desk, I just sat down and started writing. Dad, Mom, I don't know what you want to hear. If it's an apology, I'm sorry, I can't do it. If it's consolation, I don't have it for you. If it's something like, I understand, I don't have it for you yet. But here's what I can say. I live, sometimes even well. I learned to sleep without fear that tomorrow I won't have enough money for coffee or rent. I learned to trust people a little bit cautiously but sincerely. I learned to put myself above what you once thought of me. And I learned to write. My texts are not about revenge. They are not about you, but because of you. And maybe if it wasn't for that day when I found out that the money didn't go to me, but to my sister's business, which she didn't ask for, I would never have become who I am. You didn't believe in me, but I believed in myself. Instead of you. And this does not erase the pain. But maybe it turns it into something new. I don't know if I'll come back. But thank you for not lying anymore. Alex. I put the letter in an envelope. I didn't write an address on the back. Just, to my parents. If they still want to listen. The day I sent the letter was like the day I left home for the first time. But now it was not an escape but a step. Then I returned to life. I published a novel in self-publishing. Only a few hundred people bought it, but among them was a woman from the publishing house. She contacted me. She offered me a contract. It was small but real. My story began to live without me. And a few months later I received a reply. Alex. We read it. And we cried. You don't have to come back. But know that we read your every word. And we're waiting for you. Your former parents who want to be yours again. The meeting with my sister happened by chance. If you can believe that, of course. I was just leaving a bookstore on Belmont, where I was doing my first author signing, a small but memorable one. The door opened, the bell rang, and there she was, Melissa, the one whose business made me drop out of college. The same one they saved instead of me. The same one who made me not look in the mirror for years without seeing the guy who once wanted to be part of my family. She was different, less glamorous, more tired. Short hair, jeans, no jewelry. Only dark circles under her eyes and something in her eyes. Something I didn't expect. Shame. "Hi, Alex," she said. I didn't answer. "Can I talk to you for 5 minutes?" I looked at her for a long time, and then nodded to the coffee shop across the street. "I read your book," she said. "I didn't think you could do it. But you did. It's painful, and honest, and beautiful." I didn't say anything. I waited. "I didn't ask for that money, Alex," she said quietly. "You should know. They offered it to me. Mom was desperate. She was afraid she was going to lose me. But she did. And I lost the brother I loved, even when he despised me." I frowned. "Loved him? You were silent all the time." "I was silent because I was broken. I didn't know how to say, 'I'm not worth taking your life.' But now, I'm different. I lost that business. And it was the best thing that could have happened. Because I was able to see who I am without money. And what real means." She pulled an old photo out of her bag. We were kids. Me with a book, her with chocolate on her face. "You were always what I wanted to be. Strong. Real. And I'm not asking for forgiveness. Because I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I am grateful. For the fact that you survived. And for becoming a writer anyway." She stood up. "If you ever want to come back, I have a new address. No parents. No business. Just me." She put the note down and left. That night, I looked at the photo for a long time. We were children. We hadn't betrayed each other yet. We didn't know how. And maybe now it's time to learn again, not to forget, but to accept.